This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 5 June 2026. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, my partner in crime is back, the Cyber Cowboy. Cowboy, congratulations. I said that live solo last week, but to you and your family on the recent graduation, that's a big testament moving forward. Welcome back, buddy.
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, Professor. Thank you very much. Sorry for missing last week, but yes, it was an important event. My two female digital copies have both graduated high school. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Craziness. So uh, it was good seeing the girls and get the family down, and it was good. It was good. A good
So,
little break.
so everyone, just so you know, Cowboy was actually in my general vicinity when he was attending that
Is
graduation, and we still couldn't get together in physical person to hang
it,
out with each other because
It's a big city, a lot of
well,
traffic too. That
oh my God,
ruins
yeah, like
everything.
literally, like we were trying to figure it out, and I'm like, that's like 70 miles in one direction, my friend, just for lunch. And I'm like, I heart you a lot, but that's I can't do that.
And during the week, right?
Yes,
Like
during the
that's
week.
during the weekdays.
Like if it
So
was a weekend, like if it
totally,
was like today, right? If you were, I would have almost definitely would have done that easily.
yeah.
But next time, just plan a weekend in there to see your friends. That's all.
No. 100%. I don't blame it. It was if we can make it work, awesome. If not, there will be other chances.
There has to be.
I'm sure. I'm
Yes.
sure we will work travel again together. It happens every year.
Well, not this year, but not yet anyway. But
Oh yeah.
hope springs eternal, right? So we'll see what we can do. Okay. Well, enough of the pleasantries. Let's get into the news. This week, our top story is an FBI flash alert. The Silent Ransomware Group has sent fake IT workers to hack law firms in person. So what happened? The Russian-linked extortion group Silent Ransom Group, or SRG, has escalated from purely remote social engineering attacks to physically sending operatives into victim offices disguised as IT support staff. The FBI issued its highest urgency flash-level cybersecurity alert on May 26th, indicating the Bureau views that this is a physical intrusion tactic as materially increased threats requiring immediate attention. The group broke away from the defunct Conti ransomware operation in 2023 and has since built a sophisticated data theft and extortion machine specifically targeting U.S. law firms. Between January and May 2026 alone, they launched over 100 attacks with stolen data from at least 38 law firms already published on their data leak site after ransom negotiations failed or were refused. So they broke this into three phases, Cowboy. There was a remote phase where operatives contacted employees via phishing emails, the standard fabricated urgency type of thing. And if they were successful, operatives were then gaining interactive access to workstations through legitimate, or air quotes, legitimate RDP tools alone. They didn't have to install backdoors. They fished their way into using legitimate remote access tools. From there, they escalated with physical escalation techniques. When the remote access was denied, the SRG sent operatives to the offices using prior reconnaissance and OSINT for credibility, a la, and I'm sure you'll talk a little about this, the clipboard method, which I'll leave that to you. The operative poses as IT support and gains physical access and connects their not really shady at all, sarcasm included, USB device to a workstation, and they're off to the races. And then, the final phase of the way SRG works is an extortion model. They don't encrypt systems. They rely entirely on the theft of the data and the threat of public exposure via their leak site. The type of data that's shown up on their leak site, Cowboy, has been uh, legal contracts, personally identifiable information, social security numbers, financial records, tax documents, M&A terms, litigation strategies, and attorney-client privileged communication. What are your thoughts, sir?
Yes. So, as someone married to a lawyer, I talked to her a lot about these types of attacks, and even asked her as we got started, like, "Do you know what your IT guy looks like?" Because she constantly tells me like the IT guy. That's what she calls him. And she said, "Yes, he's there regularly, so that's good at least." But I mean, yeah, the high level of law firms that they're
Yeah,
hitting and the sensitive data they have
yeah.
is, I mean, I call it like the civilian on par version of secret and top secret level
Oh, yeah.
information, right? Wildly damaging to the offense or defense, if you will, of the case. And there this ransom group is categorized as aggressive. They're also known as Lunamoth, Chatty Spider, and our favorite UNC 3753. And it takes some some balls. It's you got to have big brass balls to do the physical penetration, right, of these places.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
My favorite I've been waiting on is pen testing. There is a physical aspect to a cyber pen testing team that a lot of people tend to forget about or not put a lot of stock into. And this just showcase that it works, right? You said the clipboard effect, right? Nothing's more legitimate than someone with a clipboard showing up and saying, I'm here to look at something, and how easy they get in and get access. So please, when you're doing red teaming and pen testing, please take into account the physical portion and let some of these experts just see how gullible your staff really is.
Yeah. So, on that note, what could you or should you be doing about this if this is something you are concerned with or possibly probably should be concerned with? Well, with regard to the remote vector, you should train your staff to recognize what vishing calls look like when there are people attempting to impersonate IT professionals. You need to implement a strict verbal verification protocol. So if IT calls you, hang up and call the help desk number back directly. Never initiate a remote desktop session at the request of an inbound caller that you have no idea why they're calling you. It's just someone that's using the urgency tactic on you. That's bad. For the physical vector, require badge access or escorted entry for all visitors. Train reception and office staff to challenge unannounced individuals claiming IT affiliation. Prohibit any IT work, including USB connections or workstation access, without prior formal scheduling and direct confirmation with a known. This is what you were saying with your wife. Known IT contact, and
Mhm.
probably good to preserve copies of visitor IDs. For detection, monitor your logs and unexpected RDP sessions, unauthorized device connections, and behavioral anomalies, not just speech anomalies like I'm having right now, in account access outside of normal hours or patterns. So interestingly, on the badge access thing, on Friday I had to go into the office, and
Ew.
I was about to go get up and get some coffee, and I saw someone standing at the door. So, um, I opened the door, asked who they were. They said that, they were a new employee, so flag 1 for me, right? Who was here
Mhm.
for this particular thing that was occurring in the office, which I knew which was occurring, right? And they said, "But I just started. I don't have this yet." And, like, they gave me all of the and I'm like, "That's fine. I will escort you to the person in charge, and they will take I'll let them make some decisions from there," right? And that's exactly the way that you're supposed to handle that, if you're going to let someone into your secured office space at all. Now, preferably, you drop them off with security or someone like that if they are available. Otherwise, you go to the senior person on site, and it's their responsibility from that point forward. So, I didn't feel bad about doing that, but it was just another one of those, "Okay, as a security professional, you've hit all of my red alarms. I don't even know why I wanna talk to you, but it's Friday, so let someone else make that decision because it's not mine to make." That's the way I
I
have to
mean,
say it.
think of a 3-month analyst opening answering the door, probably would have been like, "Oh yeah, that sounds legit. Go ahead." Right?
Mhm.
Someone who's never worked in a skiff before or had dealt with any of that stuff probably would have been like, "Oh yeah, it's fine. Come on in. Come on into our tax and audit practice.
Yeah, right? Seriously.
Have a look around."
Yeah, so, just be careful, have a level of cautious diligence is the way I would say
Yep.
for most people. Like, don't just assume that because someone says they are who they are, right? Don't assume that if they have a clipboard and they look like they're doing a job, that they're actually there to do that job. Ask questions. It's not wrong for you to verify. That's actually the right thing to do.
A great
Our
man said, "Trust but verify."
Exactly. Well, many great men, I think, have said
No.
that at this point, right? But yes, yes. Okay, let's move on. In our next story, Cisco SD-WAN zero-day exploit with no patch available. So I don't know if this hits at our normal 10-ish sort of scale, Cowboy, so I don't want to disappoint you. I apologize up front, but this is what happened. Mandiant discovered an actively exploited zero-day privilege escalation vulnerability in Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN or Wide Area Network Manager that allows arbitrary command execution as root. The critical detail is there is no official patch or workaround available as of the production of this podcast. So when these notes were made, there wasn't. There might be at this point, folks, and there may be by the time you hear it. Um, a- Attackers are chaining this with two previously known authentication bypass vulnerabilities to achieve full remote compromise, and they're pushing malicious configuration changes directly to the edge devices. So some details on this is CVE 2026 20245, and it's a privilege escalation flaw, like I said, in the Cisco SD-WAN manager command line interface caused by insufficient validation of user supplied input through a crafted file upload mechanism. Successful exploitation grants arbitrary command execution with root privileges. This wow man, it's a day. This matters because SD-WAN infrastructure sits at the network perimeter for thousands of enterprises. A root level compromise of this management plane means an attacker can reconfigure routing, intercept traffic, inject malicious policies, or pivot edge devices across the entire fabric. The fact that no patch exists yet means organizations are completely exposed to this attack right now. If you're running Cisco SD-WAN, run a request admin dash tech on each control component immediately to preserve forensic logs before any changes. Upgrade to the fixed version for CVE 2026-2182 as an interim mitigation. Audit configurations on all edge devices for unauthorized changes. If logs show exploitation indicators, Cisco warns that applying a software update alone will not resolve this compromise. You need TAC guided remediation. Cowboy?
Yes, so this is only a 7.8, and while that does
I'm sorry.
just sadden me a little bit, it was marked for enrichment efforts, and the reason I think it's a 7.8 is because to successfully exploit, um, you have to have net admin privileges on the affected system, which means you would have had to have valid credentials or second exploitation right to get that level. So it it's a little bit multi-step process, which is why I think the space score isn't so high. But doing command injection attacks to elevate to root is a very serious exploit to pay attention to. So, and I want to take a moment and apologize to the audience. uh, the professor's having verbal stutters because I forgot to push a patch yesterday to update him, and so his verbal skills have been
Yeah,
affected. So that's my fault.
well, just clone my voice over to 11 Labs, and I'm sure it'll be fine at this point.
Mhm.
Before I get back onto the next story, that's kind of funny because last week I was feeling a real time pressure crunch last week, and I wasn't sure I was going to get the solo uh flight of the podcast up. So I did very quickly attempt to use a couple of voice cloning softwares
Mhm.
to see if they could get my voice close enough to do it, right? so I didn't have to take the setup and tear down time and all that stuff. And honestly, maybe my voice is just right now unique enough with for zero shotting. I didn't do any training. Like I said, I didn't have time. I was just doing zero shot stuff. It was not even close. Just not just n it was not there. It was my voice, right? Like, I could tell it was definitely tonally my voice, but, my pitch, my tempo, uh, the type of pauses that I have or, elongations of certain words or the way I pronounce certain it was like, "No, I'm gonna definitely just record this week." Like, there was just no way it was not ready. So, again, don't rush to do your voice cloning for your deep fakes. It's probably gonna turn out bad. It does take a little quality setup time, so that was just a good
That's,
exercise, though. It was just a good exercise.
that's good to know. Now it's not there yet, but quickly on its way.
It is. 7.8. I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's only a 7.8. But it's 7.8, like you
That's
said, because of complexity, right?
yeah.
Not because of how severely awful it is at an enterprise level, really. I think that's where the problem is.
I'm not anything if not flexible here on my scores.
There you go. Okay, very good. All right, in our next story, HTTP 2 bomb, AI discovered denial of service exploit knocks web servers offline in seconds. The security firm Caliph, using OpenAI's Codex as a research assistant, discovered CVE 2026 49975, dubbed the HTTP slash 2 bomb, which is a remote denial of service exploit that targets the default HTTP 2 configurations of nearly every major web server. The twist is AI found the vulnerability that human researchers missed for over a decade by chaining two separate known behaviors into a single destructive new exploit chain. The exploit combines two primitives. The first phase is an HPAC compression bomb, which seeds the dynamic header table with one header, then admits thousands of 1 byte indexed references in a single request. The attack spends 1 wire byte per reference, while the server allocates 70 to 4,000 bytes per entry, bookkeeping a structural table. Unlike traditional HPAC bombs, this uses nearly empty headers that bypass maximum header size restrictions. Oh, that's crafty. I like that. The
Mhm.
phase two, which is the flow control slowress hold, is where the attacker advertises a 0 byte flow control window, preventing the server from completing the response while resetting send timeouts with trickle window underscore update frames. The connection stays active, trapping allocated memory indefinitely. So, by example, 5700 to 1 on this, or with Envoy, 32 gigabytes is exhausted in 10 seconds. Apache, which is going to be 4,000 to 1, would be exhausted in 18 seconds. Nginx, which is 70 to 1, is exhausted in 45 seconds. And ISS, which was 68 to 1 on 64 gigabytes. The other three were 32 gigabytes, is exhausted in 45 seconds. There is a patch for Nginx, for Apache, Microsoft ISS, Envoy, and Cloudflare. Pingora remain exposed with no patch available, again, as of the production of the podcast. Over 880,000 public facing websites are estimated at risk. Cowboy?
So 7.5 base score, but that's okay. Um, the for our dedicated listeners, you're just gonna have to know. I'm always gonna call that out. I feel like it's becoming my thing now that I have to
I think it's
express
good.
my
I think that's fun.
sadness and
Yeah,
disappointment. But I
it's okay.
I like people to
Good.
know the score. Like, go look it up. But you stole one that you liked, but what I really like about this, and this goes way back to the even the earliest days when we started hacking stuff, is the attack relies on the correct behavior of the HTTP2 protocol rather than code flaws, or other types of things you more often think about of a hack, right? When we look all the way back to when Al Gore invented the internet, right, which we all know, it is,
Y- Yeah.
it, yeah, it wasn't created with security in mind, right? It was created with efficiency, right? And so the earliest hacks took advantage of just your traditional TCP protocol in the way it was supposed to be used, right? And so I can't help but have a little spot in my heart for vulnerabilities and exploits that take advantage of the correct behavior as is,
Mhm.
because I think it's almost like a lost art kind of thing. Like that's how it all started. Now we're taking advantage of a lot of other stuff, but a lot of the new class that I'm teaching actually talks a ton about this because it's the same concept, that the protocols being used just weren't built for security. They were built for the extreme resource constraints in
Yeah.
the environment they're operating in, right? And thus are very easily taken advantage of. So I just appreciate that in this type of attack. I also appreciate how damaging it is from just a simple source like a residential internet connection that can just smash these servers.
Yeah.
It's an ugly denial of service, and just from a um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, I say I like this and I appreciate it. I mean, obviously, any vulnerabilities and DDoSes and everything else are bad, but from just a perspective of the job, you know what I mean? You can still appreciate the art form around how these take place.
Well,
That's all
let's
I'm trying
let's
to
just
say.
talk about that art form, right? AI is what found this. Humans missed it. And we've been banging on this drum for on and off for months since we started season 3 of the podcast, where with you as the co-host, right? This
Yes.
is gonna be the norm. That new novel exploits are gonna be developed through the use of AI. Not necessarily that AI is doing the exploit, but AI may figure out an exploit that has existed, in this case, for decades, just because of the way that stuff works, right? To your point.
Mhm.
We collectively, but there may have been someone out there that may have figured it out, but collectively, this was missed by everyone. No one thought to do this. Uh, when I guess when you put a trillion parameters of human knowledge together and say figure it out, you get an interesting result once in a while, and that's gonna, I firmly believe, happen at a much more exponential rate every week, month, and year that goes forward as these systems get more and more sophisticated.
I would chalk it up a win for AI, a positive thing. AI helped us find something that we can get after and fix. And we, again, to beat the horse, AI is a force enhancement, not a force replacement in today's versions. So
Yes, true.
I
I
just
will.
want to keep saying that to drive it home to people. It's a force enhancement, not a force replacement in 80% of situations.
Yeah, I think there's definitely augmentation that's happening,
Yeah.
and I think that's a topic for we can go into that in another
We,
podcast if we want to just have a whole
yeah.
segment on it. But yeah, I think that AI is at an augmentation stage for a lot of things, and can help take some of the repetitive tasks out of stuff now, for people so that we can spend our time focused on other things. I think that that's where it's finding a very heavy good use niche case. And in some cases, some of the more mundane tasks in slide generation, at least slide drafting, Excel table drafting, stuff like that. I think that it does very well at. Um, so you don't have to spend time figuring out, value tables and equations and all that sort of stuff in our favorite spreadsheets and whatnot.
I I just used it to do that recently, and it did a fantastic job.
Yes.
Stuff I would have spent a week figuring out, yeah, just the mathematical tables between tabs and all that other stuff,
Right.
because I'm not an Excel genius, and it just made it for me super fast. And I was like, "Hey, you did a good job, thank you." And I let it know because all hail our AI overlords.
Well, so here I'm going to coin a new term here, or at least maybe coin it. If someone else has had it out there,
Mhm.
I apologize. I'm not taking your work. I thought it up. I did think of this as on my own. But if it's yours, leave a comment. I will gladly say that you had that thought as well. Instead of calling it vibe coding, which I think has really got a negative connotation because a lot of people that produce vibe codes are they're producing slop, right? They're not
Mhm.
there's no security built in. They're using very generic things. There's no mm, creativity It's like they want to just do a thing and they're doing the thing, and AI can do that, right? But if you're really using it to craft and make things, here's the term I would like to start using. Let me see how you like this, Cowboy. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Programmatic orchestration.
Oh, that is a
Sounds a
very
hell of a lot
industry
better.
term.
Has a
Yeah.
lot better than vibe coding. Programmatic orchestration. I think that's really what it is if you're using it well, right?
Yes.
Uh,
I think vibe coding has a spot, right? Like you said, the people who are using trash to produce trash,
mhm,
you are vibe coding.
mhm.
But the people doing it right, yes,
Well, I mean, you think of it this way,
I like
right?
that.
You have a super um smart, call it almost savant level, if not even more so, right? Um uh Junior level developer at your disposal that will work on any project for any amount of time it needs to solve the answer. That, at least today, still needs someone to lead it. That's why it's programmatic orchestration. You're orchestrating the outcome that you've asked for. You're not just letting it go. So that's my soapbox for the week. Take that hashtag programmatic orchestration. That's where I'm going to go with that. Okay. What can or should you be doing though about this web hack that Codex found? Well, if you're running Nginx or Apache, update now. Like you can. There's a patch. Do it. If you really can't though, you should set your protocols to HTTP 1.1 and disable HTTP 2 if you have to. But you have the ability to patch. If you're on ISS Envoy or Pingora, since there's no patch yet available, disabling HTTP 2 temporarily or fronting with a proxy that enforces hard per request token count caps is the way to go until those patches are put out. Okay, in our next story, Operation Flutter Bridge. Love the name. Google and YouTube ads deliver macOS backdoor past Apple notarization requirements. Palo Alto Network's Unit 42 uncovered Operation Flutter Bridge, a sophisticated malvertising campaign targeting macOS users through hundreds of Google verified advertisements. The ads distribute a Flutter shell, a new backdoor built using the Flutter framework, which I have some experience with, disguised as a legitimate podcast player and PDF
No,
viewer.
no.
All malicious samples were signed with valid Apple developer IDs and passed Apple's notarization
Oh
process. That's terrible because those are
man,
some pretty good security efforts on Apple's part.
yeah,
Uh,
that's
the
tough.
yeah, the delivery chain is the attackers' registered shell companies, such as AdParks Pro Limited, Advantage Web Marketing LLC, and Soft Space We Space Art Limited. Allowed them to age for approximately 1 year to this is a sophisticated right there. 1 year bypass fraud filters, then launched ad campaigns on Google's ads and YouTube's targeting Anglophone and Western European markets. The Fluttershy architecture uses a WebView based design where malicious logic is hosted on an external command and control server rather than a hard coded into the binary. A Flutter invoke message channel passes as JSON commands from WebView to a native Dart environment, enabling real time behavioral changes without recompiling. It's compatible with browser hijacking. It has AI data exfiltration. It has a full backdoor and silent updates via modified Sparkle framework. It implements a non-deterministic 10 to 20 minute delay before the first C2 contact to evade sandbox analysis. And there are variants that use Flutter's obfuscate flag and rename malicious commands to mimic legitimate PDF library operations. And someone is really racing outside, folks. I apologize.
I, I
That
heard
was not
that.
that. That was just someone outside the sock. What should you do about this? Well, restrict software downloads to official vendor sites and app stores only. Never download from sponsored search results and train users to identify fake ads and lookalike domains. Deploy macOS capable EDR solutions and block newly registered or suspicious domains at the don't block new domains. We have a relatively young domain, but be suspicious at the DNS and proxy level. I'll say that. Monitor for unexpected Chrome relaunches with unusual command line flags. Cowboy.
So everyone knows, I had to look it up because I didn't know what Anglophone is or meant, and it refers to English-speaking persons or communities.
I
So
was a little too
um,
professoric there for you. I apologize.
just yeah, just targeting the English-speaking folks. And I also want to take a moment to say that programmatic orchestration definition already exists to about what you said. Refers to using code and APIs to automate, coordinate, and manage complex multi-step workflows. So I think you're going to be. It's not. You can still trademark it. There's still
Nice.
time. So,
Nice. Appreciate that. Thank
um,
you.
yeah. This is man. There's so much there to unpack. Right. Like one, they took this. They knew the filters. They knew the defenses in place, and very well crafted all the bypasses needed. Right.
Letting stuff age
The
for a year is amazing to me. Like that's
that
that's
yeah.
that
Like
that feels state
well,
sponsored almost.
we'll
Honestly.
attack next year. Right. They're willing to wait. Yeah, reads very much state sponsored. Not, I think your more common criminals in the cyber world are now, right? Like some with some of the really trashy um, uh, attacks and software that we see, the vibe coded attacks, if you will,
Sure.
that are out there, right? They're more now. This was definitely like, hey, we're gonna take a lot of steps in place, and it reads a lot like the drive-by downloads, and where you've got the one pixel, and if you mouse over it, then it kicks the script to run, right? Kind of some of those older attack styles around that. But dang it, that's a good one. It's obfuscation that it does to evade sandboxes. It's real-time behavioral changes without recompiling. Those also scream state-sponsored, very high-level craftsmanship and tradesmanship of the cyber community.
Yeah. I'm just it's impressive that again, the reason I lean towards the idea that state sponsored is um that the willingness to wait. If it's not state sponsored, a large criminal organization that has
Yeah,
resources that can honestly afford to wait. The fact that
and
it
and register shell companies.
yeah, well, that's
You know,
right, it's gotta be one of the 2. It can't be a fly by night, and it can't be a small
right?
group. So, it's just very interesting. But good on, Palo Alto Networks Unit 42 for uncovering that. Well done, guys. Um, yeah, alright, in our last story tonight, Grafana Labs GitHub breach, source code stolen via TanStack NPM supply chain attack. Yet another supply chain attack. Grafana Labs confirmed that the Team PCP ransomware group reached their GitHub repositories through the same mini Shai Halud, for those that know the Dune reference, campaign that compromised the TanStack NPM packages, hitting OpenAI, Mistral AI, and other major tech companies. We actually talked about this, I think, last week, 2 weeks ago, last month, recently. Um, Attackers gained unauthorized access on May 11th, downloaded Grafana's source code, and issued a ransom demand on May 16th under threat of public disclosure. The internal investigation by Grafana was completed on 1 June. The attack originates from malicious packages distributed through the TanStack NPM ecosystem. When developers installed compromised dependencies, Team PCP gained initial access to Grafana Labs infrastructure. From there, they pivoted to GitHub repositories and exfiltrated source code, particularly damaging scenario for open source company whose intellectual property lives in publicly accessible version control systems. This is part of a broader pattern. The same Mini Shahalud campaign has already compromised at least 4 major AI tech companies. Team PCP's methodology relies on NPM supply chain attacks as the primary initial access vector, exploiting the trust developers place in package registries and CI/CD pipelines that auto install dependencies. What can you or should you be doing right now? Well, audit your NPM dependency tree regularly and use NPM audit and consider lock file pinning. Implement signing verification for critical packages, monitor for unexpected token creation or repository access in CI and CD pipelines, review Git history for accidentally committed credentials after any supply chain incident, and consider allow listing which packages can be installed in production environments across the board. Cowboy?
Yeah, we definitely did talk about this fairly recently. I think within the last couple of weeks, it they hit 84 malicious versions across 42 npm packages. It was actually detected publicly within the first 20 to 26 minutes that they hit, but this was part of a broader software supply chain attack that we talked about, known as
Mm-hmm.
Mini Shy Halud.
Right. The Dune
And
reference.
that is that, yep, the self-propagating malware worm targeting developer environments, CI/CD pipelines, and open source stuff. So here it is back in the news again, and we've hit on the supply chain thing a lot. This is more an update to the NPM thing. Again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
NPM,
So it's
we've
just more
talked
of a,
about NPM for months now, on and off.
yeah.
NPM supply chain attack has definitely become a regular vector at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think anyone using NPM, like, you've got to take additional steps to monitor all this activity because it's becoming so prevalent. Either up your, I'll just say, defenses around it, or if able, maybe look at possibly something else. But just keep an eye because they're getting after it.
Yeah, so much stuff relies on NPM on the back end. It's kind of amazing.
I know.
It really, it's disheartening. Um, but yeah, I think allow listing and version pinning
Mhm.
is going to have to be something that people consider moving forward for sure. Okay, Cowboy, what else you got for us?
Well, we spend millions on cybersecurity tools only to be defeated by a guy with a lanyard from the Office Depot. I am Cyber Cowboy. Happy to be back. Stay frosty, everybody.
How true, Cowboy, how true. I'm the professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.